A ceremony is, I guess in its simplest form, is a meeting, but it's a meeting with a clear objective, a clear structure and a clear way to be facilitated. And we call them formal ceremonies at the start because it builds that discipline of this is something important that we need to do as a team.
So ceremonies and some of the buzzwords in Agile have been created because there's no preconceived idea as to what these words might mean.
Under the umbrella of Agile, you have a number of different practices. These are considered ceremonies.
Ceremonies, the reason you use a word that's really different, there's two parts. One is to have a word that's really different. A meeting, people have context to it. So, a meeting means this. I'm going to have this agenda, I'm going to do these things around it. You always have these topics.
I would differentiate ceremonies from meetings. Meetings might be led by a particular person and driven entirely by a single person. Ceremonies, from my perspective, it's a session whereby everybody have a chance to voice out their opinions in that session and really contribute to the discussion in that ceremony.
The ceremonies is about you've come up with a set of things that we say you would do regularly because of these big benefits. It's a small set.
So a ceremony is an agreed forum where certain work will take place.
Yeah, a ceremony is just an event in the whole Agile process. So it could be the sprint planning session, it could be the retrospective.
And so we call it ceremonies because ceremonies you usually always do. It's a really important thing. So that's the second part. Yeah, so it's not just different, but it's also something we hold in high regard.
So it's called a ceremony so that we know what's going to happen in that forum and what to expect and what we can deliver when we attend.
A ceremony is, to me, is a series of practices that we follow in order to bring to life certain mindsets and behaviors. So in many cases, when we say we want to change people's mindsets and behaviors, we are first asking them to follow a set of common practices, and through doing that, move on to the next phase of understanding why they need to follow it and the concepts behind it, and finally be master of those mindsets and behaviors enough that they can start modifying them to suit their own needs.
So there are many ceremonies within Agile. From an Agile perspective, one, they need to be respected so that they are done properly.
In Agile, a ceremony is a meeting of some sort, an event of some sort that needs to happen. We tend to call the stand-ups as a ceremony. We tend to call the retrospective as a ceremony.
Stand-up is something that we do every day. That's a ceremony. A retro or a retrospective is something where we know we're agreed to review our work and see what will improve. And because that understanding is shared, it's called a ceremony because we all partake in that ceremony in the same way.
And your ceremonies are your sprint planning, your stand-ups, your product backlog grooming, your retros, your showcase. And done the right way, it's a beautiful execution.
So a scrum of scrums, a daily stand-up, a retrospective, sprint planning, backlog grooming. These are all standard ceremonies that occur within a given sprint. A sprint could be 2 weeks, could be a month. Keeping that cadence of these regular ceremonies keeps the teams regular within a framework of learning. The whole idea is a mindset shift, and ceremonies allow for that to occur.
A ceremony is good because it's structured and it's a way of getting through the itinerary on that meeting, which is relevant to the rest of the project work.
Eventually these ceremonies, for those really high performing and mature teams become just ways that we do things.